Hey there, I'm Shanta Prince, and I help coaches to build personal brands, create high ticket offers, and get paying clients. Today, I wanted to tell you about how I got started in the coaching space and how you can actually get started too. One of the biggest questions that I get from people is how do I get started? How do I get my business going? How do I get people to see me as the expert that I am? So, the first thing, it sounds really simple, is to just get started, right? Um, First of all, I just want to say that I don't think that everyone is supposed to be a coach or called a coach. I believe that sometimes you may not necessarily carry that title as a coach, but you may be a mentor, which is quite different from coaching. But I will tell you that I did go to school when I was getting my Master of Divinity in theology. I did take some courses on life coaching. So I did get two different certificates in life coaching. However, I don't really consider myself a life coach. I'm a true introvert, so I'm not so much of the one-on-one life coaching type of a person. I'm more of a teacher. I'm actually more of a mentor. But when I first started, I went and I got those certificates in life coaching, and I do understand the differences between like life coaching and actually being a mentor. But some people, we take that term coaching and we kind of throw a lot of different things under that coaching hat, right? So if you're a teacher or if you're a mentor, or we just kind of take that thing and like throw it all under the title of coaching, even though those are not exactly what coaching is. So I do talk about some of the differences between those things more inside of my Facebook group. So if you're watching me inside of my Facebook group, hello. And if you're not inside of my Facebook group, I want to invite you to come on over and join me inside of my Facebook group. If you go to Facebook and type in purpose driven coaches and mentors, you'll see that group pop up and you just hit that join button and come on in and join us. So I want to talk about how I got started in this space and how you can get started too. So, first of all, I was in the Navy. I did 10 years on active duty in the Navy, and I started to feel like there was something else that I was supposed to be doing, and I didn't know exactly what that thing was. Like, I didn't know like fully like what exactly am I going to do when I get out of the Navy. I just knew that it was time for me to get out of the Navy, but it took me 2 years to come to that decision. Like I knew that I was coming up on the end of my contract and that I was going to have to make a decision. Well, I made the decision to get out and to really pursue this thing that I was feeling called to, right? So, most of you who are in the coaching and mentorship space, you feel called to this thing. And the reason why I know that is because you tell me when I talk to you in the direct messages, you're telling me the reason why I want to do this is because I feel called to it, right? We know that feeling, that tug that we feel in our hearts is pulling us toward a certain thing. And those are the kind of people that I want to work with, right? I want to work with the people who know that they're called to this thing because when you're called, you approach business in an entirely different way, right? You get tired and you feel like you want to give up, but something won't let you quit and you just can't stop. So you may take a break, you may come to a slow crawl, but you get back in there and you keep going. You keep fighting for your future and fighting for what you know you're called to. So the first thing that I did when I knew that I wanted to start helping women to build their businesses is I said, okay, the first thing I need to do is I need to know how to package myself, right? I didn't know that at the time, I did not know that that was called branding because I was completely new to the business space. I was coming out of the military and I had no idea about what branding was, what marketing was. I just knew that I needed to know how to package myself. So that is what I was calling it. If someone had said to me, you need to build your brand, I would have been like, what is that? What is the brand? How do I do that? But what happened was someone said it the way that I say it. Someone said, you have to package yourself. I can show you how to package yourself. And I said, that's what I need, right? So that's a little plug for when I talk about how you need to speak your audience's language. You need to be speaking the same words, using the same terminologies that they use so that they can understand what you're saying, right? Many times you try to speak and you're speaking above their heads and they have no idea what you're talking about. But that moment happened because somebody was speaking on my level, and I said, I need that. I need to learn how to package myself. So that's the first thing that I learned how to do. And that's why, for those of you who are watching on Facebook, you can see in the bottom of the screen is the link for the Brand in Demand Bootcamp that's coming up on November the 1st. You can actually get on that list and sign up for it earlier. Go to brandindemandbootcamp.com and you can sign up for the bootcamp where I'll go more into detail about this. So I learned how to pull things together, get my messaging together so that I could step out and people actually understand what it is that I do. That's the first thing that I teach inside of the Brand and Demand Bootcamp. It is a free 5-day workshop where we spend the entire week talking about branding and business. And I teach you how to articulate what you do, right? Because we're all full of purpose and we're all full of this passion. But how do you get that thing out and articulate it in a way that will make people want to pull out their cards and invest with you? Okay. Now, what I haven't told you yet is that I also have a strong background in ministry. And what I've seen with women of faith, y'all don't shoot the messenger, but I'm just telling you what I've seen. A lot of times when you're coming from a background of ministry or when you're a woman of faith, you have this passion, you have this purpose, and you know that God is calling you to do something. But you're struggling to put things together and you're struggling to charge what you should be charging. So you end up undercharging and you end up not getting any clients because you're wording things in a way that's too churchy, right? And here's what I mean by that. If it's too churchy, people are going to be like, why should I pay for that? I can get that at Bible study on Wednesday. Like, why would I pay for something that I'm going to get for free at church, right? Am I right or am I right? So you really have to learn how to write compelling copy, learn how to position yourself as a businesswoman, and learn how to command the prices that you deserve, right? So I teach all of this stuff inside of my academy. And a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about right now, I go into greater detail about inside of the Brand and Demand Bootcamp. So if you're not signed up for it yet, go to brandanddemandbootcamp.com and get signed up. Even if you've already signed up, you can run through it with me again because things change from, each time we run it, things change up a little bit. So you're welcome to go through that again. So I learned how to package myself. I learned how to articulate what I do, and I also help other women to do the same. I help you to get that message out of your heart and put it out in a way that's going to position you to get paid what you're actually worth. And also so that it's attracting the right people to you. You want the right people to be drawn to your message. You want people to say, this is the voice that I've been waiting for, right? When you start speaking up and when you start being who you're called to be, then people start saying, okay, I'm so glad somebody finally said that. This is the voice that I've been waiting for. So I learned how to pull things together with my messaging. So when I work with people, when it comes to branding and building their businesses, the first thing that I really focus on is creating an offer, a high ticket offer. And I also focus on messaging, right? Because your messaging has to be on point so that people know that you can actually help them. So I got my messaging together first, right? But even before that, I had to invest in myself to learn that. I had to make a significant investment in myself to learn how to do that for myself. I'm going to show you how to do that in a few weeks for free. I'm going to show you how to do some of the things that I've actually paid to learn how to do for myself. I'm going to teach you how to do it in a few weeks for free if you go ahead and sign up for that Brand and Demand Bootcamp. So I invested in myself, and then I learned how to brand myself or package myself, and then I started taking action. And I feel like this is the place where so many people get stuck. I started taking action because I was in one place, but I knew I wanted to be somewhere else. I was in a place where I was fresh out of the Navy and I wasn't sure about what my life was supposed to be like. I honestly felt lost. And you'll hear me tell this story in the boot camp. But I talk about how when I got out of the Navy, I didn't know who I was without my uniform. And that took some work to find this. I mean, it took some prayer, it took some really some real focus on who I am, what my gifts are, what I'm passionate about. And it really took a lot of effort in pulling it all together to create a brand that now draws people who are just like me, who want to know what I know. And that is how I make a living. I teach people what I know. And I'm on a mission to help other women to do the exact same thing, right? Get paid to share what you know, get paid to use your gifts. And so I started taking action. And this is so important because so many people, they talk about what they want to do and they talk about it like it's so so far away. They talk about, how they want to do this and they want to do that and they have these big goals planned. Are we all like big dreamers? Right, we're big dreamers, but we sometimes don't take the action to make the dream happen. And I will tell you from experience that the dream that you have in your heart, that thing that you're dreaming about, that thing that you want to accomplish, you actually getting to that thing and actually making it happen starts today. It starts right now. So instead of thinking about it like it's so far off and it's so far away, you actually start building that thing right now so that next year, this time, you're like, oh my goodness, last year I said I wanted to do this. This year I've done it. Last year I said I wanted to make six figures with my mentorship business or with my coaching business, and this year I did it, or this year I'm doing it. And so you really have to think about this thing for the long haul. I was just talking about this with my clients earlier today about how when you're in business, you really have to make up your mind that you're in this thing for the long haul. This is not just some, temporary thing that you're gonna do and then you're gonna, put it to the side like, it's like some kind of hobby. Like when I was in high school, I was in band and I played the clarinet when I was in high school, but I also have played the flute before. So years ago, I went out and bought a flute, and y'all don't ask me why I did that. Like I went out and bought a flute, like I'm gonna play this flute. Do y'all know that that flute sat in the closet and collected dust for years? And then I ended up giving it away because I never did anything with it, right? That is not how we approach business, right? You don't start the thing and then put it on the shelf and let it collect dust. You really have to make up your mind that you're committed to this thing and you're in this thing for the long haul. And when you're in it for the long haul, you understand that you're not thinking about, okay, I just want to know the fastest thing that I can do, or I just want to know how I can become an overnight success. But when you're in this for the long haul, your approach is okay, I'm in this thing to learn what I need to learn. And I know that I'm going to make mistakes. I know that it's going to get hard sometimes, but I'm committed to this thing and I'm going to continue to stand in this and develop my business until it gets to where I want it to be. Because sometimes some people get into this space and they think they're going to get clients tomorrow. They think they're going to hit six figures in 30 days, and all of those things are possible, but there's a building up to that. There's some things that you have in place before you can accomplish those things. And sometimes, like, when it doesn't happen, you're frustrated and you're angry, but you really haven't stayed in it long enough to really see the type of fruit that you want to see, right? We understand that if you go out and you plant a tree, it's going to take time for that tree to grow. You're not going to plant that tree and then wake up tomorrow and then the tree is growing and it has apples on it. You can pick the apple and eat the apple. There's a process that happens from the time you plant that seed to the time that tree breaks through the ground, to the time that tree grows a few inches, to the time that tree starts to grow branches, to the time that tree starts to grow fruit. There is a process, okay? And you have to approach your business like that. It is a process, and you're in this process for the long game. And so your mindset is different when you're in this thing for the long game. So that's the thing that I made up in my mind. I'm in this for the long game, and I started to take action, knowing that eventually I was going to make a mistake, knowing that eventually something was going to go wrong, but also knowing that whatever happens, I'm in this thing for the long game. And this is what I talk to my clients about all the time. Listen, you're in this thing for the long game. If you want to be in this for the long game, there's some things that you have to do differently. If you just want to make some quick money and then you want to disappear, after 6 months, you can make your first 50K in 6 months and then disappear, then you're gonna approach things totally different, right? But if you want to make that first 50K and then you want to, in the next 6 months you want to hit 100K and then you want to, get into seven figures, there's a process. And there's also a mindset that lines up with the process, right? So you can't get in this thing and be like, oh my gosh, that didn't work, and then quit. You have to say, oh man, that didn't work. Let me try it again, but try to do it better. I wish somebody had told me this years ago when I launched something and it flopped. I did not get any purchases from this course that I launched, and I kind of crawled into a cave like, oh my goodness, that was a huge failure. I wish I had somebody to tell me, no, that wasn't a failure. You just found one way that doesn't work. And now you have to get back in there and work at it until you find what does work, right? So I'm telling you what I wish somebody had told me years ago. Business is not easy, right? But if you're called to this thing, you are ready and you're cut out to do this thing, right? And so started taking action and started making mistakes. So, what actions did I start taking? The first thing that I started doing to start my business was I started talking about the problems that I saw. So many people are secret agents, meaning no one knows what you do. You're hiding. You have all of these gifts and all of this talent, and you have people around you who would actually pay you, but they don't even know that you have these gifts. They don't even know that you can do what you can do because you're quiet. You're a secret agent. The first thing that I started to do to shift what people saw about me was I started talking about the problems that I saw. I started sharing knowledge and sharing information that I knew that could help people. And what did that do? That started to position me in their minds as an expert. Like, okay, Shanta knows this stuff. And if you need help with this, go see her because she knows this stuff. Not just for the people who saw me or who were on my videos or in my sessions, but also for people who they knew, right? Maybe you when you start speaking and start sharing your information, if you're not already, maybe it won't be for everyone, but maybe some people who see that and they know what you do, they can refer other people. I cannot tell you how many people have referred other people to me because they know what it is that I do, because I speak about it, I talk about it, right? So talk about the problems that you solve so that people can begin to see you as an expert. This is important, not just for when you're getting started, but it's important for people to start seeing you for who you are, especially if you came from like another industry. How many of us hop across industries, right? I've been in the IT field. I have a couple of degrees in computer studies, and I have a degree in psychology, a bachelor's of science in psychology, and I have a master of divinity in practical theology. So I went from being in the Navy and being in the IT field, working with computers, and then I went into the psychology field and I worked as a sexual assault response coordinator. So that's me using my psychology background, my psychology degree. And then I went to school and got a master of divinity, right? And I was just talking about this with my clients this morning. So I'm working on some things to really incorporate that into business as well. So I said all that to say is sometimes you go from different niches. You may be one thing and then you may shift to something else and then you may shift to something else. And so people tend to see you as where they know you from, right? So all of my Navy friends, they saw me as someone who was in the Navy, someone who's in IT, someone who knows computers and understands technology. And I still know computers and understand technology, right? So, but now I'm like, I have to pivot and I have to get people to see me as this person who can help with their messaging to build their brands. And so the fastest way to do that is to start talking about the problems that you solve, start sharing information, giving those tips away, and being really generous with who you are. And what I mean by that is not sitting on this knowledge or information that you have, but freely giving it. And what that does is, and I know like some people have different views on this, but what that does is it's not just about giving the information, it's about building your brand. And it's about building that reputation as one who knows whatever topic you talk about. And so if you're always talking about how to eat healthy, guess what's going to happen? When someone needs to eat healthy, guess who they're going to be looking for? They're going to be looking for you because they're always seeing your tips, they're always seeing you on their timeline, and they know that you are the one to go to when it comes to eating healthy. Guess what's going to happen when they have a friend who says, "Oh my goodness, I need to eat better. When I start 2022, I want to be eating better, I want to be working out, I want to be taking care of myself." And guess what happens? That person says, "Hey, I know exactly who you need to talk to. Come over here and check this person out," right? So it's also about building that brand. So don't think of it as, "Oh, I'm giving away all of my content." God is a God of abundance, and I never worry about running out of information, running out of content, right? You're always going to have something to talk about. Especially if you're in a constant state of building and engaging with your audience, they're going to tell you what they need to know. You'll know what topics you need to cover because they're going to tell you, because you're going to be engaging and you're going to be active with your audience and connecting with your audience on a regular basis. They'll ask you questions, they'll talk about some of the struggles that they're having, and that will give you ideas and fuel your content machine, right? So never worry about giving out information. Never worry about giving your best stuff, because we understand that the more you give, the more you receive, right? And so it always balances itself out. So never be afraid to give out the information. And I had to say that because so many people are like, But what if I give out all of my information? Or what if I, share too much? And I don't believe that you can share too much. I believe that even if you're sharing, people are still going to want you. They're going to want to invest with you. They're going to want you helping them to reach that goal. There's information everywhere. You can learn some stuff. You can buy a book and learn some things. But people want that accountability. They want that human connection. They want that support while they're in the thing, right? And so as long as what you're offering lines up with what it is that they need in this time, then you're going to be just fine. So don't worry about giving out that information, and don't be out there saying, "Well, Shanta told me to share all of my information." Yes, I want you to share that information, but I want you to have it, put it out in a way that's structured. And you should be, "Hey, Miriam." Yes, he is, Miriam. God is the God of abundance. So never be afraid of stepping out there and really sharing who you are and sharing the information. You're sitting on something right now that somebody needs. And it could be anything. It could be information about how to eat better. It could be information about how to get more clients. It could be information about how to put on your makeup so you can do your live videos, right? If you want to wear makeup in your, in your live videos, right? Some people don't want to, but I do. So if you got some makeup tips, you need to let me know. But you're sitting on something that somebody needs. There's treasure in you that you need to be pulling out and sharing with other people, right? And not in a fear. Listen, if you're living in fear of not having enough information, that is a mindset of lack. If you're scared to share because you're afraid you're going to run out of information, if you're afraid someone is going to take your information and teach it for, on their platforms, that is also a mindset of lack, because you're so afraid that someone's going to teach what you're teaching that you don't teach it at all. Meanwhile, people who are connected to you need that information, but because of fear, you're holding on to it. So think about those people that need what you have. Think about those people who don't even know what you do. Think about the people who you see struggling and you're like, "Oh, I could really help them." Right? And that's what makes you want to rise up and really be who you're called to be. Share that information that you have. Use your gifts to help them. Do you know how many people would pay you for the solution if they knew you had it? People pay for solutions. People pay for outcomes. And if you talk about, remember when I said one of the ways that helped me to get started was to start taking action, and the action that I took was I started talking about the problems that I solved. And I start sharing information and tips around those problems to help people to overcome those things. And then people started recognizing me as, wait a minute, she knows this stuff. I need help with this. I need this problem solved, right? You want people to see you as a problem solver. And the fastest way to do that is start talking about the stuff that you know. Start talking about the stuff that you see people struggle with, and then give them tips to overcome it, right? Don't just say, "Hey, I know that, entrepreneurs are struggling with this," but give them tips on how to overcome it. One of the biggest mistakes that I see entrepreneurs making when it comes to them positioning themselves as an expert is that they call out things, but they don't give a solution. And when you call out things, but you don't give a solution, that's more like an insult, right? Because you're saying things about your ideal clients and it doesn't make them feel good. It makes them feel terrible, and they won't want to work with you. Okay. And let me give you an example. So, so some of you guys know I talk about how I struggled with acne for a very long time until I found someone to help me to learn what to eat, what vitamins I need to take, what stuff should I cut out of my diet, what type of skincare should I be using. And I found somebody to help me finally start clearing my skin up. But there was a person who I know who she's an esthetician, but she would say things like, "Oh, like you guys know the candy bar, like the Nestle bars with like the little like Rice Krispie type stuff in there." Like she posted a picture of that and she was like, "If your skin looks like this, then you need to come see me." And I was just like, "Well, first of all, no thanks," because the way that she came off, that does not make me feel good about working with her, right? So that's an example of how you can call out something but don't give tips to help me to overcome that. And now, like, I have no desire to work with you because That you don't want to make people feel, you don't want to make your ideal clients feel bad. You want to make them feel empowered. You want to make them feel inspired. You want to make them think about you when they're ready to step into that solution, right? You want them to say, "Oh my goodness, I'm ready to start doing this. Let me call Miriam. Or let me send Miriam a direct message. Or I need this, or I need that. Let me reach out to Miriam. Let me call Shanta because I need help with building my personal brand. Let me call Shanta because I want to know how to get some paying clients. I'm tired of being undercharging, and I want to know how to charge more money so that I can do the things that I want to be able to do. You want people to think about you when they realize that, okay, it's time for me to stop playing games and finally solve this problem that's been bothering me for so long. And the only way that's going to happen is if you start talking about the problems that you solve. So let me do a quick recap on how I got into the coaching space or mentorship space. It's not about my degrees because I don't have any degrees in business, right? No degrees in business. So if you've been sitting up here saying, well, nobody's going to listen to me because I don't have this or I don't have that, it's not true. People will listen to you when they know you can help them. Okay. Nobody's going to ask you, well, what kind of degrees do you have? Did you get all A's or were you a C student? Like nobody does that. People want to know if you can help them. And the way that they're going to figure that out is by you showing up and by you sharing with them the information and by you making offers. Okay? There's a lot that goes into that. And I talk about that. I'm talk about all of that in a few weeks in a brand and demand boot camp. Okay? So we'll go in more detail about that. So the first thing that I did to start really getting into the coaching and mentorship space is I started investing in myself. So I made a significant investment in myself, and then I learned how to package my expertise. And so I wanted to know, like, okay, well, I'm new to this thing. How do I get people to see me as? And I had no idea what branding was at the time. I didn't know that that was called branding, but I kept saying I need to figure out how to package myself. And now we I call that branding. We call that branding. But invested in myself, learned how to articulate what I do, and learn how to do more around my package and positioning myself as an expert. Okay. And through that process, I started to realize that I actually have a gift with words. And I actually have the gift of helping people um, with an idea to create an offer out of it. I can literally help people go from idea to offer by just them saying, well, this is what I want to do. I can sit down with people for a couple of hours, and by the time those 2 hours are done, they have a complete offer to go out and sell, all starting from an idea. So I started to recognize, oh, I'm pretty good at this. So then I started helping other people to do the same thing. So investment, learned how to package myself, which is branding. And then I started taking imperfect action, right? I started taking action and I started doing things knowing that I was going to make mistakes, knowing that things were not going to work out the way that I wanted them to work. And then I started talking about the problems that I saw. I started sharing information. But here's one thing that's really important to consider is that when you're doing this, you also need to eventually have something to sell, or people are going to think you work for free. Okay. If you're showing up and you're sharing information, people are going to start thinking that you work for free if you never make an offer, if you never sell anything. I'm going to tell you that a part of your responsibility as an entrepreneur is to sell because no business stays afloat without sales. You have to learn sales in order to keep your business afloat. Okay. That is something that I teach as well. How to sell, how to actually get those paying clients so that you can have a real business, right? If your business is not bringing in money, it's not really a business, right? I want you to have a real business. So you're actually bringing in money. You're actually getting those paying clients. So those are things that I did to get started. And some of those things that I talked about are going to help you to get started too. So if you're on the fence and you're like, how do I get off of the fence and actually start establishing myself in this space as a coach or a mentor so I can actually start hitting those income goals and start accomplishing those dreams that I want to accomplish, right? Because who doesn't have a dream? We all have some kind of dream, even though sometimes life can kind of put a damper on your dreams a little bit and make you kind of step back a little bit. But I'm here to help you to step out of that and say, okay, yes, I may have went and crawled into a cave. Remember, I told you I crawled into a cave after I launched the course and nobody bought it. years ago. But I'm here to help you step out of the cave and say, listen, yep, I didn't get everything right, but I'm back and I'm ready to do this thing for real. So if that's you, go ahead and send me a direct message and we can chat about it. You can message me on Instagram, you can message me on Facebook, and we can actually talk about some of the things that you're facing, some of the things that you're dealing with. If any of this resonated with you, go ahead and send me a direct message, okay? So I'll be back tomorrow to talk about some more things around building your brand, building your business. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up yet, go ahead and sign up for the Brand in Demand Bootcamp. It is my free 5-day workshop where we'll be going into detail about building your personal brand. I'm going to teach you how to create content that positions you as an expert. I'm going to talk about marketing and all things around building your coaching or mentorship brand, building your coaching and mentorship business. They're two different things. Building your brand and building your business, they go hand in hand, but it's not the exact same thing. And I'll explain the differences between those during the boot camp. Okay, so I'll be back tomorrow to hang out with you again. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment box. And when I go live again, I will respond to your questions. All right, so you have a wonderful Monday, and I'll be back tomorrow to hang out with you again. I'll be